All right, everybody, pinch yourselves. Another victory in the Second Amendment realms in the court dealings here in the United States. This time in the area of 3D printing. Stick by and watch this episode of Guns and Gadgets. Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your extreme source for Second Amendment news. Good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, this is where you'll find it, so consider subscribing to the channel if you want to stay in the know. And those who have asked if you want one of these shirts, link is down below. It's below every video. So let's jump into this victory. It is actually pretty cool the way this case was worded. Let me bring you all back a couple of years now. Defense Distributed. They make a couple that you might know them in a couple different realms. Ghost Gunner, the milling machine, as well as they got into a heap of heat and trouble when they started distributing 3D printed CAD files for firearms. Totally legal, but the government, we'll get into that. So in December of 2012, Defense Distributed started making available for download their files for 3D frames, receivers, and stuff like that. And they put those files out on websites such as defcad.org and defcad.com, as well as mailing stuff and putting materials in brick and mortar areas. Now, Defense Distributed is in Texas, and what happens in this case is interesting. So first, they were sued by the United States Department of State, and that case was pretty famous. We talked about that here on this channel. And since then, I've gotten to meet a couple of the guys at Defense Distributed, and pretty cool cats, and they're very, very pro 2A. I mean, the fact that they're telling you how you can make your own firearm tells you that they're pretty pro 2A. Now, that lawsuit with the feds was settled, and what resulted was they were granted a license to distribute their materials from the United States State Department. And there were 9 attorneys general that didn't like that, so they filed suits on behalf of their respective states to stop Defense Distributed from putting forth their free knowledge files into these communist-style anti-gun states. And probably the most loud of all them else was the Attorney General from New Jersey, and his last name is Grewal, Grewal, or Grewal. I've seen it pronounced a couple different ways, but whatever. He immediately filed, he was part of the spearheading this lawsuit against Defense Distributed in the Western District of Washington. So he went to Washington, D.C. to file this case to stop them from spreading freedom. Now, the AG from New Jersey also did a couple other things. He sent a letter to Defense Distributed in Texas to cease and desist exporting all their files. He also... he being the AG of New Jersey, also contacted several internet service providers in California, telling them to stop your services with Defense Distributed. Don't let them distribute this freedom. He also did a civil lawsuit in the state of New Jersey against Defense Distributed. And he also had a live press conference in which he threatened criminal sanctions against them as well. Kind of went overboard, he kind of puffed out his chest and said, "Ha-ha, I am the most anti-gun of all AGs." Well, it looks like it's turning around to bite him in the tush. But what happened is just before the lawsuit in the Western District of Washington was filed by these 9 AGs, including Grewal, Defense Distributed and Second Amendment Foundation filed a lawsuit in the Western District of Texas, which is where Defense Distributed is located. Now, this lawsuit directly challenged the selective enforcement by these attorneys general, and also said that this was a violation, an infringement of Defense Distributed's First Amendment right. This is free speech. And they also said that this lawsuit was directly seeking things that was against the agreement and the license that they got from the United States Department of State. Now, we covered the 2 lawsuits based off of, actually 3. The first one was Department of State. Then the timeline is Defense Distributed and Second Amendment Foundation sued against these AGs who initially started to threaten Defense Distributed for releasing these files, and then the lawsuit filed by Grewal and his buddies. Now, in response to Defense Distributed and Second Amendment Foundation's lawsuit, AG Grewal moved for a dismissal because he said, "Hey, I don't have any jurisdiction in Texas. This can't affect me." And the court initially agreed and said, "Yeah, you know what? He doesn't have any personal jurisdiction. let's dismiss this case. But they did it without prejudice, which means it can be appealed, which is a good thing. So Defense Distributed and Second Amendment Foundation appealed this case, and it went before the Fifth Circuit of Appeals. And yesterday, they came out with this decision. They said that because Grewal did a few things, specifically sent his letter to cease and desist into Texas, telling a Texas company to stop doing what they're doing. He didn't specifically say stop sending your stuff into New Jersey. He just said stop doing what you're doing. And his letter specifically looked to affect commerce that took place in Texas. The justices in the Court of Appeals then said, yes, because you did this in Texas, you should have assumed you would be hailed into court for these actions. Therefore, you have a jurisdiction is standing here to sue you. So they have overturned and remanded this case back to the U.S. District Court in Texas, where Defense Distributed and Second Amendment Foundation are going to take up the fight locally. So that's actually a big win here, because it would have been easy to say, yeah, you know what, nah, he's in Jersey, you're in Texas, he doesn't affect you. But to have justices stand up and say, yep, you might be here and he might be there in different states, but he took an action that directly affected you and your ability to do business in your state, among other states, yes, he can be sued. So that's actually pretty good. There's been a lot of good things coming out of the woodwork here in the courts the last week. And all indications are pointing to a couple other good things happening here. Don't forget, we have the stuff going on in California, to include a case, Young versus Hawaii, that should be heard soon. I believe it's going to be heard in September. I think it was September 21st. And that has to do with a state, Hawaii, where they, don't give out open carry permits unless you're a police officer or a security officer, and B, they haven't issued a concealed carry permit ever, as far as their records go back. So that is that's a ban on the Second Amendment. We're not going to let you do it, so you can't have that right. But then the state says, well, you still have your Second Amendment, but we just don't let you carry. So that's coming, and I have a feeling that's going to be a huge case, one that actually could now go to the Supreme Court, which could affect all the states that have similar stuff. I often get asked questions when I report on lawsuits like this and others. How will it affect me? So real quick, if you want to know, if you live in that district, for instance, let's use the magazine case in California. Okay, that case will affect people in California right now. If the appeal is made and then the Ninth Circuit says this is the law of our circuit, whatever decision they make affects all the states in that circuit. How it would affect people like in Massachusetts or New Jersey or New York is that if it went to the United States Supreme Court and they made a ruling that we would want on our side, then it would be applicable to all the states. So that's just a quick little lesson on how it could affect you, because I get that question almost in every single video. If you have any further questions, hammer down below in the comment section. Also, don't forget that I have my email list that I started, the LINKTREE. Link will be down below, linktr.ee/gunsandgadgets. And sign up for the email list, especially with that purge that happened yesterday on Facebook. There's a lot of people being plucked off of social media, and who knows, could happen to me as well. So join that email list. I'm fleshing that out. That's going to be a way for me to tell everybody emergency news, breaking news. Once a week, maybe I'll tell everybody how many what the videos were and have links to all those as well. And I'm open to ideas. But that's that. So until we see each other again, be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon, subscribe to the channel for more information, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.